Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajjil farajahum wa la'an a'da'ahum. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful, may the peace and blessings of Allah the Exalted be upon the Prophet Muhammad and his purified progeny, and may the damnation of Allah be upon their enemies. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We will continue our discussion on the Arsh, the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. So in the last episode, we discussed the throne in two verses, for example, being carried as referring to knowledge, which was actually carried by the prophets and the successors of the prophets, or the successors of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the Imams. And we mentioned an authentic narration from Al-Kafi and how further narrations elucidate as to who these carriers of knowledge are. And again, this is not something physical. Knowledge, again, is not something physical. Although, according to narrations, knowledge can be transferred through physical types of things. Like Allah Azza wa Jal puts it in something, like we have in Al-Kafi about these pomegranates that came from the heavens, which possibly is a meaning of a physical pomegranate or fruit which was eaten, and the knowledge basically transferred. So there was something in this which gave the knowledge, where Allah Azza wa Jalla can transfer knowledge. So we said that some of the meanings can be Allah Azza wa Jalla transferring knowledge to his servants. Now we'll go into another verse which is in chapter 11 verse 7, where Allah Azza wa Jalla says the following: هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في ستة أيام وكان عرشه على الماء لِيَبَلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Allah Azza wa Jal says in chapter 11, and it is He who created the heavens and earth in 6 days, and His throne had been upon water. So this is a part that we want to concentrate on, that He might test you as to which of you is best indeed. So it says, وَكَانَ عَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ, that Allah's throne was on water. So how do we understand this? So again, there are authentic narrations of the Arsh being something physical and non-physical. And when we discuss water, we find that the very origin of the human being and the origin of life in itself comes from water. And the human being's body is mostly made up of water. So water is something which holds a great importance, and Allah Azza wa Jal mentions it in this verse. And we also have narrations which confirm that the origin of life, the origin of the universe in fact, was from water. And this goes along with the scientific studies, which I'll read a few quotes of before we go into the hadith about this verse. So in an article of Harvard University, I found the following. It says, in the geology community, biology community, and even in the astronomy community, they are all interested in the origins of life. So this is something people want to know. What is the origins of life? How did life come about? But the mistake many of them make is denying a creator, of course. They are all interested in the origins of life, and water is one of the most important key elements that has to be considered. So even scientists are saying this, and when we look in narrations or Quran, water is mentioned there. And this is from Junji Dong, PhD student. I believe they may be Chinese. PhD student in Earth and Planetary Sciences. So many try to examine the origins of the universe, how it started, how many years it's been since the origin of the universe, and a lot of them concentrate on water. And the article also says the following, another quote I'll just read quickly before going on the hadith. According to a new Harvard-led study, geochemical calculations about the interior of the planet's water storage capacity suggests Earth's primordial ocean 3 to 4 billion years ago may have been 1 to 2 times larger than it is today, and possibly covered the planet's entire surface. So there are these theories of scientists, and some of them say that billions of years ago, although we don't know the exact years of how long the Earth has been existing, it would have been like a water world, where the world was made up of water. And then basically some say later on there's less water in the world now as there was compared to the beginning. So what we'll do is we'll read this narration 5. We just want to discuss the importance of water according to science and also how it's been mentioned in that hadith. We have a narration in Al-Kafi which discusses this particular verse and about the water being the origin of the universe. So in the following narration, which is attributed to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, which is found in Al-Kafi, it talks about the verse, chapter 11, the 8th verse, that the Arsh was on water, the throne was on water. So someone asked the Imam about the verse. The Imam asked him, what do these people say about it? So again, the people of the time, what were they saying about this verse? They say that Al-Arsh was on water and the Lord was on top of it. So again, this thing about Allah Azza wa Jal being carried by a throne. And then the Imam goes to say that they have said a lie. Whoever would think that way, he has considered Allah as being carried and described him with the qualities of creatures. So it's not us saying this as Shia. The Imams themselves said this. The Salafis and these Mujassima, they describe Allah Azza wa Jal as having the features of and the qualities of creatures, which involves that the thing that carries him is stronger than him. So the Imam uses this argument again. If you're saying that Allah Azza wa Jal is being carried, then it shows that this thing is stronger than Allah Azza wa Jal carrying him. A'udhu billah. The Imam has said Allah made water to carry his religion and his knowledge before there was an earth. So even before there was an earth, Allah Azza wa Jal created some type of water or liquid. Before there was the earth, the heavens, the jinns, the human beings, and the sun and the moon. So the Imam goes here to show that water was created and Allah Azza wa Jal made it to carry his religion. What does it mean by this? Knowledge, possibly, that Allah Azza wa Jal put some knowledge in this. We'll explain this further, what this possibly could mean, as many of these passages perhaps have allegorical meanings, esoteric meanings which are deeper than we can understand. So then the Imam says, when Allah willed to create the creatures, he spread them before himself and said to them, who is your Lord? The first ones who spoke were the Holy Prophet, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and the Imam. So they all acknowledged the Tawhid, the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then he made them to carry his religion and knowledge. He then spoke to the angels. These are the carriers of my religion and knowledge. So it goes on the narration, but it goes to show again that there was this type of carrying of knowledge that was given and that Allah did something to the water to carry his religion. So what does it mean by this? So when it said, the Imam says, Allah made water to carry his religion and his knowledge before there was earth, heavens, jinns, human beings, etc. This is possibly because the first thing after that was created in the physical earth was water. So Allah prepared this water before the physical earth and perhaps transferred it. Allahu Alam, we don't know, we're saying possibly. And then everything came from this water. So the origin of the universe and the amount of water that's there, as scientists say, everything came from this water after. So the Arsh being on water, it doesn't mean Allah Azza wa Jal literally sitting over it. Rather, it means Allah Azza wa Jal had power over this water. His throne was on the water. Possibly means Allah Azza wa Jal, of course we know he had power over this water. And then he created the creation also from the water. Allah made the water to bear a type of knowledge. So again, people say, what does it mean, bear knowledge? So this is possibly that Allah made this water bear knowledge, and from the water it was transferred to the creation, the type of knowledge. And as we know, the creation, they have intellect, they have ways of learning and gaining more knowledge. This is possibly that Allah Azza wa Jal, within this water or this substance, this liquid substance, he put the capability there, the capacity for it to have this type of knowledge, or when it was transferred, it gave the people the means of knowledge. Or maybe the literal exegesis of tafsir, where Allah Azza wa Jal, he made the water sentient. He gave it some sentience, some type of where it can experience and have sentience and types of feelings, and put the water on it. Allahu Alam. But then the second set of narrations about this verse indicate that it could be physical. So now we have the first set of narrations saying what? That water, knowledge was given in this water, or knowledge came from this water, and the religion was given to this water. Something around these lines. And within this water, it was transferred to the creation, possibly. The Arsh being on the water, the knowledge being on the water. But then the second set of narrations indicates physicality, which we'll read. So one such narration we read from Kitab al-Tawhid, that it says, Imam Rida alayhi salam says, "Verily Allah, the Blessed and Exalted, created the Arsh, the water, and the angels before the creation of the heavens and the earth. The angels used to ponder over the existence of the Arsh." So could be something physical. The existence of the water and the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah made this so that they ponder upon the greatness of Allah Azza wa Jal, that He is the creator. Then He placed His Arsh over the water to make His omnipotence evident to the angels, so that they may know that He had power over all things. So it's saying now that He placed His Arsh over the water, and that the angels would see this and recognize this. He then raised the Arsh by means of His omnipotence, moving it and placing it over the seven heavens. So placing the Arsh and then placing it on the water shows that this is something physical. So you see the first narration is just saying that it's knowledge, and then we have this narration saying that what? Allah, He then raised the Arsh, and then He placed the Arsh over water. So from this narration we understand that Allah Azza wa Jal created this physical great type of thing, which is the Arsh, the throne, and He placed it over water so that the angels reflect. So now we're getting one of the sets of narrations saying knowledge, the other one saying what? That it's a physical type of Arsh, and it's a lengthy narration which people can read more of. And just to mention one more narration, again, I'm trying to be as brief as possible, but to understand this topic one has to examine all the narrations. We have another one which again it speaks about Allah Azza wa Jal not being carried, and within the narration which is attributed to Imam Rida alayhi salam, it says, "Al-Arsh is not Allah, Al-Arsh is the name of knowledge and power. In Al-Arsh there is everything. Besides, He has ascribed carrying to things other than His own self. It is ascribed to a creature from among His creatures. This is because He has made His creatures worship Him through carrying Al-Arsh." So again, a narration here which says knowledge. So how do we reconcile these narrations? Is there a possibility to do this? Because now we've quoted one which says about Allah Azza wa Jal having a physical type of Arsh. So another narration we find from Kitab al-Tawhid, it says the following, where it indicates to us again that the throne, the Arsh, is something physical. Where it says that Ali ibn al-Hussain, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, said that verily Allah the Mighty and High created the throne in quarters. He did not create anything except three things, the air, the pen and the light. Then He created the throne from different lights. So something about lights and the throne being created from this. And then He mentions green light that made greenness, yellow light, etc. and red light. So a very deep type of meaning which we might not fully comprehend. So the Arsh being created from light, something physical. So He mentions the lights, and then one line which stands out, He says, He then made the throne of 70,000 thick layers. Each layer is like the first throne to the lower one. So the Arsh being made of lights, the Arsh having layers, and then after that when we go down, so I'll put the source for all of those who want to read the full narration, but obviously we want to try to be brief. The sentence says the throne has 8 pillars. Each pillar has angels whose number is unknown to all but Allah Azza wa Jal, and who exalt Him day and night without subsiding. So from this narration, again from Kitab al-Tawhid, we find that the Imam is saying that the Arsh has pillars, the Arsh is created from light, and that the Arsh is something physical. So now we have 2 sets of narrations that we've shown to all of the viewers. And one more narration before we make the conclusion. So we need to read this narration, put all of the meanings in your mind, and then we go to a conclusion. So there's a narration which is attributed to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in Kamil al-Ziyarat, which in general is a very reliable book. And even Sayyid Khouy at one point, although he took the opinion back, he thought the book was all authentic, or said for all of the book to be authentic. But very nice narrations about the different ziyarat that we have. In this particular narration, it talks about those who visit Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And it says, verily Hussain is hanging on the right side of the throne. So the right side of the throne, now something again indicating that it's got this physicality. And he says, O my Lord, fulfill your promise to me. Verily, Hussain looks at those who go to his ziyarah. Subhanallah. So he looks at those who go to his ziyarah. And he knows them and he knows their names, the names of their fathers, and that which they carry with them even better than they know their own sons. So it's saying that Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he's hanging on the right side of the Arsh in this particular narration, and he's looking at those who visit him. So it's not like the Salafiyah, the Nawasib, some of these so-called Shia reformists try to portray that you're just going there. Imam Hussain alayhi salam is completely cut off from the world. No, when you look in certain narrations, it says that he knows about those who are visiting his ziyarah. And then it says that he looks at those who cry over him and he seeks forgiveness for them and asks his father to seek forgiveness for them. So it's the Imam alayhi salam, he makes dua for the followers and the believers. And he says to those who cry over them, "O those who cry over me, if you knew about that which Allah had prepared for you, you would be more happy than to be grieved over me." And it says, "Verily, Hussain seeks forgiveness for them for every sin and for every mistake." Subhanallah. So Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he looks at the followers, he knows their names, the names of their fathers, and he makes dua to Allah Azza wa Jal to seek forgiveness from them. So this is a nice hadith which I wanted to mention, but the point which is related to our discussion is saying that Hussain, he hangs on the right side of the throne and he makes dua for the believers. So again, this shows physicality. So to conclude, what should we say on this particular matter? And of course, this narration is from Kamil al-Ziyarat, where Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he seeks forgiveness for those who do ziyarah, and he's aware of their names, the father's names, seeks forgiveness for them. It's in book 2, chapter 32, the reward for those who cry over Hussain ibn Ali. So it talks about the reward of crying, and it mentions these points of Imam Hussain alayhi salam knowing when his followers go on ziyarah. May Allah grant all of us this ziyarah. So to conclude this matter, there are two possible meanings. The first being that the Arsh being put on water was Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah putting something within this physical substance, this material substance, and through that, let's say the water, knowledge would be transferred to his creation. As I said, there's narrations where Allah puts knowledge, he puts something within something physical, and when it is consumed by the creation or put into them, they gain knowledge. This is one possibility. There was water, and Arsh being the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal that he put in this water to transfer to creation. The second meaning is that no, it was actually a physical type of jism, a physical type of thing, creation, Arsh, which we don't know the reality of. Of course, many will be thinking of like a type of chair or something. It was a physical jism, a physical great creation, which was placed on this water as a symbolic representation of Allah Azza wa Jal's knowledge. So Allah Azza wa Jal, he created this physical Arsh, which we do not know the reality of. He placed it on this liquid substance, all this water, and that was a symbolic representation for the angels who saw this, for the creation, that this is representing the great knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's possibly one of the meanings. So again, the first meaning, the Arsh being the knowledge of Allah, which was put in this liquid material substance, the water, transferred to creation, or possibly that it was a physical type of Arsh, as in the narrations, and it represented Allah Azza wa Jal's knowledge. But of course, Allah Azza wa Jal knows better on these matters, as these narrations are quite complicated. And this is possibly how we could reconcile these narrations. We say clearly some of them are saying it's knowledge, that basically knowledge being carried or knowledge being put on the water. Other narrations say that no, it's something physical. And from different narrations, when you always read about the Arsh, there is an image of it being physical or descriptions of it being physical. So we could possibly reconcile all of these narrations to say that the Arsh is a physical great thing which we do not know the reality of, which was placed on the water and was a representation of Allah Azza wa Jal's knowledge. So inshallah ta'ala, join me for the next episodes where we will discuss what the Kursi means. So we discuss the Arsh in these episodes, that it can mean Allah's complete control over all of his creation and his authority, which he always had. It can mean knowledge which is carried by the prophets and successors. And then it can be a physical type of thing which shows the greatness of Allah Azza wa Jal. So in the next episodes, inshallah ta'ala, we will cover the difference between the Arsh and the Kursi. So what does it mean? Is it like the Salafiyah say, that Allah puts his feet on a footstool and stretches out while sitting on the throne? And what is the difference, according to the Shia narrations, between the Arsh and the Kursi? Because we've discussed the Arsh quite in depth, so we will discuss the Kursi and then mention the narrations, discussing the differences. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعن أعداءهم.